Hey guys, so I'm Bhuvan. I'm one of the fourth year medical students here at Bathurst Clinical School, and right behind me is the Bathurst Hospital, and we're at the student accommodations at the moment. I'm on pediatrics at the moment, so our ward rounds start in the morning at about 8:30. Now, your ward rounds will generally start somewhere between 7:30 and 8:30, so it's just getting up in the morning, showering, getting changed, eating breakfast, and then just walking right down the stairs to this driveway and along to the hospital, and you're there. I normally just take my stethoscope, I make sure I have my ID stuff, I've got 2 pens on me all the time, I've got a notebook to write things in, and sometimes I'll take a bag with a laptop and an iPad if I need. So as a fourth year, you're very used to writing notes. A lot of the admission notes we will write, a lot of the ward round notes, if the interns are happy to, we'll write them as well. Doing bloods, doing cannulas, just getting stuck in with any sort of clinical skills that come up is something that we do here. So when you're out here in rural, especially in Bathurst, a lot of the clinicians are willing to teach you. And because the patient load is a lot less, the registrars and clinicians have more time to teach you as well. So in Metro, you're very much just considered like a medical student. So they'll only get to you if they have time because they're so busy. Whereas out here in rural for peds, if we have like 7 patients on the ward, the consultant will stop the ward round and actually ask us questions and ask us about the condition and give us things to read up on and then ask us about them later and fill in any gaps. There's a lot more teaching involved. And when it comes to the actual uni exam stuff, we can ask anything to the consultants and registrars and they're very happy to teach us. The other thing is, because Bathurst is so far from a tertiary centre, we get a wide variety of complex patients. Like in peds, we're getting things where there are only like 100 cases in all of Australia, and you don't really see these things somewhere like Blacktown and Campbelltown because they just drive somewhere to Westmead or Sydney Children's. And I think throughout we've seen a lot of complex cases in psychiatry, obstetrics, which has been really interesting to actually see in your clinical practice because there's not really things that you might see when you become an intern or end up specialising in something else later on. The rural clinical school runs a lot of teaching as well. So we do lots of sims on a weekly or a fortnightly basis. So whether it be sepsis, anaphylaxis, asthma, all those sort of things, just learning how to manage it in a small team, getting your skills together, so cannulation, intubation, fluid resus. And we also do like student grand rounds and hospital grand rounds where students are actually presenting either projects or interesting cases that they've seen, which is really good because you're in front of a professional crowd of clinicians, whether they be doctors, nurses, allied health, pharmacists, all like a variety of different things, and you get a lot from those presentation sort of days, nights, mornings. When I was first coming, I did have a lot of concerns about the rural life. Like I thought, I'd be somewhere out in the forest. But Bathurst is great. It's a really big town. Most of the shops that we want or need are all here. There are like 2 really big shopping centres. I do find that the biggest adaptation hasn't been rural life, but more just me moving out of home. So this is my first time out of home, so cooking, cleaning, but other than that, it's just finding things to do. But out here, we've got weekly futsal competitions, basketball, table tennis. There are tennis courts out that are open, so it is really easy to just adapt and get stuck into the rural life. The thing I miss most is my partner's still back in Sydney, my family's still back in Sydney, my friends are still back in Sydney. So not seeing them as often as I would like is definitely the biggest thing that I miss. But it is only like a 2.5 hour drive back, so it is quite easy to go back on weekends, and the learning that you get definitely does make it quite worth it. So I think that work-life balance isn't any different in rural than it is in metro. Like you've still got your full days of hospitals, you've still got all the learning that you need to do and studying for exams. But beside that, it's good fun. You're living with like a good group of people. There's like going to be 20 people here from next year and moving forward. Here in Bathurst, we do have like local pubs that are great. We go to the Vic every Wednesday night for trivia. Jack Duggan's is an Irish pub, which is really cool. We've got Annie's Ice Creamery, which makes some really good ice cream. I love cars, I've modified mine, I tracked mine, and so I drive on that Panorama every single day after hospital. And then there's heaps of sports as well, weekly futsal, weekly basketball. We've got access to the tennis courts and they do weekly competitions, either doubles tournaments or singles tournaments, which is great. There's also just like a lot of beautiful places to see. Like 10 minutes down the road, there's a beautiful creek that you can just walk along. There's a really nice park just down the road. And then you can drive out to Blue Mountains or drive to Orange, Safala, Mudgee, and there are some really nice hikes. And yeah, it's pretty easy to find things to do to find things to do to wind down. So I think living in Bathurst is great. Like, I'm here at the driveway of the student accommodation, so every morning I walk down those stairs, I walk down this driveway, and I'm at the hospital, which is great. You're actually considered part of the team. You become a better, well-rounded doctor. You learn so much more about the clinical skills that we actually need, and you see a lot more and you do a lot more, and you actually feel like a junior doctor rather than a senior medical student, if that makes sense. And just living at a home with your mates is great. We've got really cheap rent, which is also very cool. And yeah, I definitely recommend rural, and that's why I'm staying another year as well, through 5th year, so I'll be here for 2 years. So for anyone considering it, I definitely recommend it at least for a year. Like, it's a great experience and you'll definitely get so much out of it. And it'll make you a better doctor, and I reckon a better person overall as well.